All right. Good morning.
Dylan's progress over these 3 starts, I think it is now. Where have you seen the biggest improvements, the biggest strides forward in his play?
Well, his comfort level is increasing by the week, less unknowns. I think he's doing a better job of communicating and making sure his teammates are all in sync, both in the huddle and at the line of scrimmage. So I think just the natural progression is taking place.
We don't get to see Shedeur, but we've been hearing kind of good things about what he's doing behind the scenes in practice. What are you seeing in him as he comes up that learning curve?
Yeah, he's working hard and really learning by the day, by the week. He's doing a nice job of, getting the most out of each and every day and feeling more comfortable with the system.
When a rookie quarterback like Shedeur isn't playing in games and isn't getting first-team reps, what are the keys to him developing during the course of a week or a month or a season?
Well, I think as quarterbacks, we don't count the plays. We make the plays count. Whatever plays we get, we are thankful for them, and we just make them count, whether they're against the first-string defense or Baldwin Wallace JVs. Every scrap we get as QBs, we're going to get the most out of, and that's the way Bailey is. That's the way Shedeur does, and that's the way Dylan was back when we had Joe playing here. So I really like all 3 of those guys, the way they go about their business in practice. Bailey has played. He started in this league for the opponent that we're facing this week. But the other 2 guys, Dylan and Shedeur, are green as grass. I mean, they're young. This is their first year. They're learning on the fly, but they're both really embracing it. And whatever plays we get whenever they take place, we get the most out of.
The downfield passing game has been like a weekly topic, and right now Dylan is bottom of the league in yards per attempt, yards per drop back, air yards per attempt. With the understanding that everything doesn't fall just on the quarterback, what is Dylan's role in that? How can he be better to kind of unlock that passing game?
I think the more familiarity he gets with NFL defenses and seeing them live and in person, the better he'll be at not only the down the field ones but the intermediate and the short ones too. So the time on task is crucial. This is a lot for any young QB. We're seeing that, in Tennessee. You see that with the guy at the Giants. All these young guys, they're learning on the job. And so I think Dylan's part of that group. And I think us as an offense, we'll get better at the entire passing game the more turns we get.
What role should maybe David and Jerry, as some of the veteran weapons out there, what do they need to play in trying to, I guess, be supportive of Dylan and make sure that they make everything.
Yeah, like you mentioned in the veteran guys, because we're young. We're young at the skill positions. We got a lot of young guys out there. Even Jamari Thrash, just his second year, but he hasn't played a lot. So we're young, which is exciting. The guys are so eager to figure this all out and get good at this pro football thing. The young guys across the board, tight end, wide receiver, running backs, QBs, we're young. And so they're getting better, and we're looking forward to making big strides starting with this week up there in Foxborough.
This week talked about, with young quarterbacks, the idea of not being conservative just to be conservative and teaching them to be smart while they're aggressive. Like, what does that look like for a young quarterback?
Well, for all quarterbacks, there's a balance there. We don't want to be like a batter goes up to the plate and just doesn't want to strike out. Then you never pull anything. You're just hitting little numbers, to the first baseman. So we want to be able to take our cuts, take our chances, try to fit it in tight windows, throw with anticipation, take a chance. But there's just a balance there of also being smart and knowing where's a safe place to ditch it when I need to, but also nothing ventured, nothing gained. So I think all quarterbacks learn that as they progress and proceed.
Can you articulate that, or have you articulated that to Dylan, that you guys trust him and trust what you're seeing and just kind of let it rip a little bit?
Well, yeah. I think you can tell players anything till you're blue in the face, but they've got to experience it and they've got to figure it out on their own time frame. And I think Dylan has a good feel for that. He's played a lot of football like we've talked about. And our offense, as we can sense, is evolving. with the young guys, and we've had some turnstile issues there at offensive line. We got a bunch of different combinations playing, and when we get some continuity, we'll hit our stride.
You see in Dylan's ability to protect the football because he hasn't turned it over yet. So what have you just seen in that way that he's able to, even if when he is under pressure, takes his sack, he's still protecting the football?
Yes, that's a good thing. That's a good thing because we know the turnover margin is a crucial component, to these games. And so Dylan has done a nice job of making smart decisions late in the down. It's no fun to, eat that sandwich at times, but he's done a nice job of making sure we retain possession of the ball. We can overcome anything as long as we retain possession of the ball. And so he hasn't put it in harm's way too often. Occasionally he has. We lucked out on a penalty last week against Miami when the ball ended up in the wrong hands. But so it's not like he's perfect by any means.
One in taking care of the football, but also one needing to, occasionally take chances, especially, when you're trying to get to open up some of the downfield throws.
Yeah, I think you just learn that. You learn that through trial and error. You're going to learn that through time, taking your lumps at times, but also trying to replicate your triumphs.
Was it when Joe was traded, and then did it take a while for that room to adjust, losing a guy who's been in the league for 18 years?
It feels like a long time ago. Was it a month ago? I'm trying to think back to that day on that Tuesday. I don't know if I can really recollect, the emotions of that day or anything. I know we're all rooting for Joe because he's a terrific fella, but the guys it's a resilient group. Shador and Dylan and Bailey, they're resilient, and Deshawn's in there each and every day, and they bounce things off of Deshawn about all kinds of things, football and offense, defense, quarterbacking related. So I really enjoy. You can sense I enjoy being in that room with those guys and being associated with them.
Tommy was telling us how instrumental Deshawn has been in helping Dylan, I guess maybe with the installation of the game plan and different things like that. What have you seen there, and how has that been working out?
Yeah, I like when those two birds converse. I like when they're talking over there, and I try to take myself out of the equation. I don't need to be there hovering all over them. They spoke a lot during the game. In fact, the other day against Miami on the sideline with Deshawn being there. Deshawn went on the trip with us down to Charlotte to get his Achilles looked at, but otherwise he hasn't been on the road, and we miss him, on the road. It's great to have his presence on the sideline for our young group.
Will he be on the road this weekend with you guys?
I'd have to check. I'd have to check the manifest.
How have you seen him embrace? Obviously, this can't be easy for him, but how have you seen him kind of embrace his role right now?
I agree. It can't be easy. Well, he's working hard. He's out there working behind the scenes. I see him in the weight room all the time doing box jumps and doing all the exercises and things that they put them through for his Achilles, and then he's out throwing some passes, I know, at times when we're meeting or when we're doing other stuff during the afternoon. Seems like he's working like crazy.
Is it intriguing to wonder what he could possibly have left after all he's been through?
Yeah, he's definitely been through a lot, and I know he wants to play a lot of football again. He feels like he's got a lot of tread left on his tire.
He said that not everybody loves how playful he is all the time, and I know you smile when you talk about him and being in that room. But is that something you guys talk about? Is it there's times when he needs to be more serious?
Well, I think he'll realize that on his own. We're all learning each and every day. We're lifelong learners, and so I'm sure, will quarter turn adjust when he needs to. But you have to be yourself. The only thing worse than someone who's maybe not a natural leader is somebody who fakes it or tries to be somebody they're not. And so we encourage the players, the quarterbacks, be themselves. When you do lead in your own natural way, and that's the authentic way to do it, and that's always the best.
What do you attribute so many drops by the pass catchers this season?
Well, there's a lot going on there. Once again, we're young and we don't have a lot of time on task, but I know the guys are trying. We've played in some wacky weather, especially last weekend and things like that. The weather is tougher on the receivers than it is the QBs. The QBs try to account for the wind like you're up on the tee box and cut it loose, but that ball's moving all the way to impact, so that's tougher on the receivers. We know that. Okay, thank you. Okay.
How y'all doing? Good.
Got to be pretty happy after last week with the performances of some of your guys, particularly Grant and Deshawn out there.
Yeah, I mean, for the group, just super excited. Happy for them to do it collectively as a group, to have such an impact positively on the team. You know, just as a coach, I told the guys, you may play a long time before you see that type of, performance as a group in a win. So just happy for those guys. They had the right approach all week. They attacked it with the positive mentality. They knew that we had to violently execute the game plan that Jim put forward, which I thought was a great game plan. And they came out with the win, but also came out with some production.
I mean, Grant and Deshawn did get a lot of attention after that, but how about Ronnie, too? I mean,
Yeah.
Ronnie did his part.
Ronnie has just been playing at a really high level for us all year. I think he's already at 40-something tackles. Hasn't had opportunity to get his hands, on a pick yet. Got that chance. He's done a great job in the open field of getting the ball down on the ground, which are tough. And you guys have heard me talk how hard that is for a free safety and attack defense. So, for him to affect the game in that manner in terms of everyone getting to see the pick, but he has affected this game positively for our defense throughout the entire year. So playing lights out, very, very happy for him. He's worked really, really hard. This is a guy that does not miss any off-season workouts. He's here from start to finish and is completely locked in terms of what we're trying to do with this team.
See his, and maybe you don't necessarily look at these, but when you see his PFF grade, which is, I believe, third among safeties, qualifying safeties that have played 20% of the snaps or more, does that surprise you at all?
No. I mean, he is playing at a high level. I didn't know he was third, amongst qualified safeties, but I'm not surprised. The young man has just done a great job of everything from the moment he's walked into this building as an undrafted free agent to this point in his career. So we got to keep that going. I can't let him get satisfied, which he won't. He does a great job of that. But we got to keep that going. We got to keep him in the right mindset and keep moving him forward because he can affect this team positively and help us win games.
There's a video of him saying, "Give it to me," right before that pick, and he said it's not like he does that a lot or ever. He just happened to do that play. Like, could you see that interception coming before it happened?
I could. Just because of the technique and what we do in that space and that situation, the way Jim designs that and the way we coach it and the way the technique is executed, which he did at a high level, it was one of those situations where I was like, and he did a great job, kind of like hanging, knowing where he had to get to and the point on the field and where the humans were in terms of alignment, and just did a great job. So it's one of those ones as a coach, and Casey, it's funny, Casey was on the sideline, who's played free safety in this league a long time. Right before it happened, I hear Casey out the corner of my ear, like this. He's gonna pick this off, because we just all knew the situation, the thing that was coming, the technique, and if done right, it was gonna be that. And Casey, literally before it happened, he said it, and it was one of those moments where you kind of see it before it happens.
You obviously know Deshawn well, and I know he got to address the team on Saturday night.
Yeah.
How important is it to have a veteran like that in that room?
It was like the biggest reason why I wanted to stand on the table for him. I just knew what he could do beyond the field. I know, look, dude's been an amazing player in this league for a long time, but we had to have a vet presence in that room to make it completely work as a group. So to have him here, I knew that would come out. I've seen that in the past, but I also knew the play would come out. We saw that in the game. Not to mention he leads the NFL in tackles on special teams. So the guy is playing at a high level. He's finding his way to impact the group and the team in his own way, in situational downs on special teams. So for me, it's funny he gets up there and he does the speech, and I just had flashbacks of watching him in Miami in the same space. But for me, it was even better because I got to see a grown man really develop into who he is on and off the field, but still be who he is and affect this team.
Look at Drake May. Obviously, he's got 12 touchdowns, only 2 interceptions. But what are you seeing there in terms of opportunities for your guys?
I'll say this. Ashton Grant, the quarterback coach who was here before, has done a really good job with him as a position coach. I see, all the things I'd heard Ashton talk about. I bring Ashton into my meeting room and have him talk to the safeties about things that quarterbacks, are looking at. So he's being very well coached right now. He's not giving you a ton of opportunities, and you see it, in his play. He's a very dynamic runner. He's fast. I think he's second fastest in rate of speed or play speed in the NFL behind Jaden Daniels. He knows when to do it. So again, Ashton's done a great job with that young man, and it's not going to, your opportunities aren't going to be a ton of them. We got to take advantage if he does give us a chance. But you can see the development of that player and just, really done a great job in that space in terms of Coach Grant.
You face running. You see Lamar twice a year. But Drake's ability to stretch the field with the vertical passing game, but also be able to run. How much is that extra stress does that put on, especially your position group? With a guy like that,
it's the day and age of ball now. And it's seeped in from college now to the NFL at a high rate. So it's just kind of standard operating procedure nowadays. The times where you don't have a guy like that is you got to remind the guys that he's not a big mover. This guy is, obviously. So it's just more about understanding that the play can extend, that you do a great job in your third level zones of not, getting out of your areas of space. And in man, just doing a good job of plastering and not just covering the first route, but the second route when you have a dynamic athlete like Drake is. So but I'll be honest with you, those are kind of core principles nowadays in modern day football. So it's not anything that really necessarily you got to do more or extra. It's just got to reemphasize.
Does he remind you of anybody?
That's a great question. He's special in terms of the ability to have the size and the ability to move. I think that's what makes him so different right now in the league. I think, 10 years from now, people are going to say, oh, that guy reminds me of Drake May because he can run and he's big and he's got a really good arm. That's what you're looking for right nowadays. So great question. I'll probably walk out of here and think about that one a little bit more. Those are literally the two you just said right now. It's like a combination of Ben Roethlisberger and Josh Allen. It's like this and now you get this super freak, and it's really cool to see. That's funny. You both said the two in the back of my head, but I didn't want to go that route, and I didn't want to go full that route either. But it's a great morph. Those are two really good ones. Those are literally the two that popped up in my head.
So many teams that get the ball out of their hands so quick,
yeah.
Right? And it looks like May, at least to this point, isn't afraid to take shots and holds the ball a while. So, do you expect him to change, or do you expect them to throw deep and be a little different than the other teams you face?
I think at the end of the day, they're going to be them. This is a Mike Vrabel coach team. If you just know Vrabes, you know what you're going to get. And I think they'll be themselves. We'll be ourselves. We all understand. When you coach attack defense, you're going to get the ball. The balls should come out fast. If you're doing it right, if you're playing attack the right way, and then you're going to get the shots at times. So, for me, I think they're going to be themselves. We got to be ourselves better, and I think that's the key that for the winning, for us to play good winning defense. And Jim's talked about that. We got to be ourselves better.
How valuable was it for you to have Vrabel in the building this last year?
That man is unbelievable in terms of vibes. If you have they talk about aura and vibes, that guy is it. It didn't matter whether we win or lost. It didn't matter the situation. Obviously, it was a tough year. That man came in with the same positive attitude every single day. He was always approachable. He'd always talk with you in terms of just having a conversation, but also coaching moments. So for me, I absolutely enjoyed my time being around that type of person. The person he is, he's just a great dude. Super happy for him. I'm blessed that I had a chance to be around him for the short time we did. But just an awesome dude, man. You just want to hang out with, outside the building, and you enjoyed hanging out with in the building.
Go back to Grant a second. James said yesterday that when Grant signed his extension, one of the things he told him, he was like, I want our defense to play with your personality. So just over Grant's time, just how have you seen his personality grow and come out and just kind of develop into what it is?
Yeah, it's over time, it's been fun to see the maturation of that part of his game. And it was a big emphasis, like I told you guys at the beginning of the year, because the truth is, if our defense plays, like Jim said, with his personality, we can continue to be dominant in this league. But it's got to be, with him leading the way in that space. So I've seen him really grow into that, space and be ready to grab the mic and get in front of the group and say words that need to be heard. But at the time, we all know Grant's going to go out there and do it with his body and his physical traits. But now he's really taken that next step of being there when we need him. There was a play in the game. I was actually after the special teams deal where we had to take the field again. And Jim grabbed Grant, and I was standing right there, and we had talked about it before. Like, if we get in one of these situations, you need to get in front of the group and grab them. And Jim grabbed him. He said, hey, get that group together and make sure we're right. And Grant saw Grant run out there and, and do what he needed to do, say what he needed to say, and we got the job done. So I'm happy for him. He's playing it at all-pro level right now. I'm glad that the world is seeing it finally. I get to see it every day. But to see him play at the level he's playing at right now, the next step is every single day Grant Delpit, every day, over and over again. And that's the next step. Appreciate you guys.